What's the best country to travel with senior citizens or the elderly? I'm gonna answer based on my personal experience, and for me, it's Singapore. Welcome to my vlog. My name is Joff and I post food and travel videos. So in this video, I'll walk you through exactly why it's Singapore. Step by step ha, from the flight to the airport to getting around the city and the hotel and even small details like yung mga toilets and ramps. Hello! Let's start with something that people sometimes underestimate, the flight. For this trip, I made a very intentional decision. I booked with Singapore Airlines instead of a budget airline. And here's why. My mom's knees sometimes hurt kasi and I wanted to give her enough leg room so she could stretch and feel comfortable. The economy seats of Singapore Airlines have leg room na decent enough for her, especially na she has a smaller frame. She could adjust, move a bit, and not feel very locked in for hours. If I'm not mistaken, I think 32 inches yung legroom niya. And since it was her first international trip, I wanted it to be extra special din for her, diba? If you're booking for seniors, make sure that you request for wheelchairs upon booking and you have to prioritize legroom and comfort over the cheapest ticket. If you can, consider extra legroom din. Meron nga lang fee yun. But super worth it if knees, back pain, or circulation is a concern. And by the way, I have a full review of Singapore Airlines in a separate video, so if you want the full breakdown of the seats, the service, and the tips, check that out. The link is in the description. When we landed, we arranged wheelchair assistance from the plane all the way to the baggage claim. This is something that you can usually request ahead naman, especially if you're traveling with elderly family members. But what stood out to my mom was the airport itself. Syempre, Changi yan, diba? The best airport in the world. And sabi nga niya, it has so many places to sit. Like, everywhere. May mga chairs, benches, rest spots. Ayan, yung sinasabi ni mama na everywhere, merong mga chairs dito, may mga benches. So, ayun, kahit dun sa part na yun, meron din. So, very senior friendly. Dito pa lang sa airport nila. So, if your senior companion gets tired after a long walk, they can rest without having to hunt for a seat pa. That sounds small lang, but when you're traveling with seniors, that tiny detail becomes a big deal. And honestly, Changi is one of those airports that make first-time travelers feel really excited. You're tired from the flight, yes, but you're also like, wow, this is beautiful, this is organized, diba? This is not stressful. Perfect vibe for seniors who may be a bit anxious about travel. Now here's where Singapore really shines. Wheelchair access at tourist spots. In Universal Studios Singapore, for example, you can rent wheelchairs for the entire day. Although heads up lang, it's first come first serve. That's why in our case, we really went early. And in our experience, it was around 20 Singaporean dollars if I remember it correctly, which is not cheap talaga. But if you need it, at least you have that option. And hindi lang sa Universal Studios Singapore ha, there are other places that offers wheelchair rentals din. Some of the places we visited with wheelchair options ay una, sa Peranakan Museum, there's wheelchair rental available. You just have to request it from the reception. Also at Gardens by the Bay, there's wheelchair rental. Just go to the gift shop and then you can rent it from there. And at Manday Bird Paradise, you were able to get a wheelchair for free lang. But syempre, there are other mobility options doon, pero meron ng fee. Yung wheelchair lang ang free talaga. Also, still at Manday Bird Paradise, we took the tram ride. And the driver was super courteous, as in he made room for my mom and the wheelchair. Those are the little moments that really add up, especially when you're traveling with someone older. Next, yung public transport naman, getting around. Singapore's public transportation is one of the most senior-friendly systems I've experienced. Buses are equipped with ramps for wheelchairs, and both the buses and the trains have designated spaces for elderly and PWD passengers. So if you're okay with commuting, it's very doable. Structured siya, hindi siya chaotic, and that's a huge point because seniors get overwhelmed fast when transport feels confusing or unsafe. In my case, when we tried commuting, I also made sure that we avoid the rush hours, so it's less stressful also for the family. But if you prefer private rides, especially when your senior companion is tired na, then booking a Grab is always an option. It's definitely more expensive than public transport, but it can be worth it for comfort, fewer transfers, and less walking back. This one surprised me the most. The streets themselves are mostly wheelchair accessible. The sidewalks, they feel smoother, the paths are more connected, and in certain areas pa, we even saw wheelchair lifts, which is something you don't expect until you see it and makes you think talaga na, why isn't this everywhere? We personally noticed wheelchair lifts in access spots like the Flower Dome area and meron din around Merlion Park. Again, these are small infrastructure choices that make a huge difference when you're traveling with a wheelchair. Next, ito naman yung toilets. Let's be real, toilets are a major issue when traveling with seniors. And in most destinations, bathrooms can be cramped or hard to find or walang mga designated na areas for wheelchairs. But in Singapore, almost every place we visited have dedicated toilets for wheelchair users. And in our experience, these toilets were rarely occupied. So my mom never had a difficult time or had to wait long in line finding a comfortable, accessible restroom when she needed it. That's one of those practical things that can instantly reduce travel anxiety for seniors. Now let's talk about accommodation because this is another make or break factor, diba? I recommend Travelodge Harbourfront for seniors for two very specific reasons. First, the beds are slightly higher off the floor, medyo elevated siya ng konti, which made it easier for my mom to get on and off the bed without bending her knees too much. That sounds basic, diba? But if you're a senior and has knee pains, low beds are honestly a struggle. It's a struggle to get up and get on the bed if it's too low. So the fact na it's higher off the ground really worked for my mom. Second, and this is also a big one for a lot of Filipino families, this is one of the few hotels in Singapore that I personally verified to have bidets, as in all their rooms have bidets daw. I asked this sa reception. Super useful, super convenient, especially for elderly na guests. If you want to book Travelodge Harbourfront, you can do it via Agoda and you can use my promo code PinoyFoodie for discounts on your booking. Lastly, and honestly one of the most heartwarming parts of our trip, the locals were kind and accommodating when they saw that my mom is in a wheelchair. Whenever we needed help, like opening a door or entering an elevator or kahit pag-maneuver lang sa mga tight spaces, most of the people we encountered were willing to help talaga, even without us asking. That kind of environment makes seniors feel safer and less conscious, and it makes you, as the caregiver or the companion, feel less alone din in taking care of your senior companions. And here's a final bonus tip pa. If you don't want to rely on attraction-based wheelchair rentals, there are also wheelchair rental services in Singapore where they can deliver the wheelchair straight to your hotel and you can use it for your entire trip na. You just have to book it for how many days that you need it. That's a game changer, diba? If your senior needs consistent support day to day. So again, let's summarize why I think Singapore is one of the best and most senior-friendly na travel destinations. First, the airport is comfortable. There are chairs everywhere. Next, the attractions have wheelchair access. Public transport is senior-friendly. Sidewalks and infrastructure actually work. The toilets, the PWD toilets are accessible. Hotels can be chosen with senior comfort in mind, and generally, people are helpful. Those are the main reasons why, for me, Singapore is my top recommendation for senior travelers, especially if they are traveling internationally for the first time. But quick note ha, I'm not a medical professional, so always check your senior companion's health needs and medications and mobility limits, if any, if meron man, before traveling. And before you go, make sure that you also watch my other video, my tips and to-do list when traveling with seniors. It's packed with practical stuff like planning your itinerary, what to pack, pacing your day, and avoiding common mistakes. I'll put the link in the description. You can also see our 5 days, 4 nights itinerary in Singapore when I visited the country together with first-time travelers, yung sister ko and my mom. If this video helped you out, drop a comment please and tell me who you're traveling with and when you're planning to go. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. That's all. Thanks for watching. Bye!